Welcome to this amazing panel of our under 30 talent. Let's start with some introductions. Mai, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, sure, happy to share. So my name is Elmonshed. I work at Henkel, based in Amsterdam, and I come originally from Egypt.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sebastiano, and I work at Booking.com as Global Procurement Category Manager for Digital Marketing, and originally I'm from Italy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kristina. I am based in Sweden, however, originally from Serbia, and I'm a Product Sustainability Director at Tetra.
Okay, now that we all have made our introductions, let's start from the very beginning. Your first job. Maybe it was your dream job, maybe it wasn't. Tell us about that first day. Seb.
Okay, I'll go. I was 5 hours late on my very first day of internship. So I should have been there, I think, at 9 a.m. I got there, I think, at 1 p.m. Living in Denmark, went up instead of south, and took a long time to get there. But my manager loved me eventually. Turned out okay.
Well, first day at work was not so exciting for me as I wanted it to be. I started as a trainee, or a future talent, as we call it, at Tetra Pak. And unfortunately, fortunately, we had rotations to different countries and organizations. And my first scheduled one was in my country of origin, so Serbia, which for me was not so exciting from the cultural perspective. However, of course, from the learnings perspective, I was enriched quite a lot.
Yeah, and then I would share not really the first day, but the interview, because that was quite interesting. And then that was when I was located at Cairo with Henkel as well. And I saw interesting job description. I went to apply, and it was still very new to me. I just graduated. And then my manager was explaining how the process is, and she was saying PR, PO, and explaining the process, and then asked me, how does that sound to you? Is it interesting? I was like, yeah, public relations is amazing. I would love to do that. And she's like, that's purchase requisition. So that was the first shock of like coming out of university life into real life. It was like, there are so many other PRs in the world than public relations. So it was very interesting.
So I went from intern to a full-time employee, and I was very disappointed to find out on my first day that they still expected me to get the bagels and coffee on Friday. So, okay, let's go to your career journey. Tell us more about today. So Kristina, let's start with you. Tell us how you got to this point in your career and some of the learnings along the way.
Yeah, well, as I said, I started as a trainee and had a fantastic opportunity to understand a company's business from various perspectives. And then I landed into procurement, where I've been for around 3.5 years, before eventually I landed into the sustainability unit itself. Learnings, I think procurement definitely I see as a very strategic function that requires advanced competences, and not only transactional and quotation mark with limited value. And that is really where my sustainability journey came about, because it's not anymore about PRPO only, but also about leveraging on AI, driving sustainability, and so on. And to me, both being the motivating and fulfilling journey that driving sustainability it's been, it's also revealed a great transformation potential, which then inspired my journey into sustainability. Seb.
Here I am. So from that first day of being late to my first day of internship, I'm a marketing baby, so my first job was in marketing. 4 companies, 3 industries later, I'm now at Booking.com in procurement. And I would say the one big learning of shifting from fashion retail to FMCG to tech, first, the curiosity of it. Like, I think it's very common in our generation, but I think as humans, it's amazing to be curious, and such a big privilege to have that curiosity met and explored. The one topic that I love, in addition to sustainability, is emotional intelligence, which basically is understanding our very own emotions and the ones of others and the groups that we're within. So yeah, thinking of me being 5 hours late, I definitely had to not feel terrible about it, to still show up. But for sure, emotional intelligence to me is one of the topics that are key for the success of businesses, and most importantly for procurement as well.
Yeah, I think with my career experience within Henkel, this is my first company and where I am today as well. But I think I got always the opportunity to grow within the company. So really from one country to another. So I started in Cairo, then moved in Bratislava, and then here in Amsterdam. I think I could get more visibility what is around procurement as well. So I started in the P2P team doing PRPO, basically. And then later on I moved into really transforming procurement. So that was very interesting transition as well, and therefore becoming digital project manager for procurement could really be an eye-opener as well for further career growth. So not only on focusing on transactional processes, as Kristina was mentioning a while ago, but really how can we transform this? How can we make it better? And that takes lots of empowerment as well from the organization.
Yeah. Okay, so as you've gone through this journey, tell me a bit about what organizations or leaders like me can do more of to support you on your career path. Let's go back to you, Mai.
Yeah, I think I would not share the typical answers that of mentorship, trust, and so on, but really the awareness about open failure culture. So it's okay if we fail, we share that, and also really to be backed up by the leadership. So this kind of communication and open support of we fail fast, we learn fast, and as younger generation, we tend to fail more because we're still learning our own experiences and building it up. I think to be backed up by the leadership is always a huge potential, basically, because otherwise you feel you're going on the journey on your own, but it's a learning journey for all of us together, so it wouldn't only work by just trying and saying, okay, that didn't work, so we don't try again, but really accepting and building up as a starting point. So I think this is very important.
Great point. Kristina?
I would say that it's also giving the opportunity and visibility of the perspective. And to me, it comes down maybe to the diversity and inclusion, where it's not only about different nationalities and so on, but also perspective of maybe younger generations or people who do not have much of an experience, but have a very fresh view on the profession or whatever the topic on the table is. So giving that opportunity to voice a perspective.
Last, try not to repeat others' great points. I think to me it's a lot, and I'll go back to the emotional intelligence point, is really to listen. And it's normal when your crew experience, you definitely see people who are less experienced maybe as less interesting or a bit too naive sometimes. And yeah, I definitely am naive and very optimistic in my life across all spectrum. But I would say that the one key thing about the newer generation is really to listen and to see what their views are and what the energy that they bring actually can turn into for you, because that can bring new energy and be actually at the forefront as an organization.
Great. So personally, I've always felt that the procurement and supply chain function is just perfectly suited to be future CEOs. Maybe that's a little bit selfish as well. But so, we are in this unique opportunity where we connect with every part of the organization, and then we connect the organization to the external marketplace. And, so for me, I feel like we're just so equipped to have that leadership position. So let's pretend for a day you're the CEO. What is going to be on your agenda of decision-making or initiatives that are really going to either advance the procurement function forward or the business forward? So, Seb, let's start with you this time. You're CEO for a day. What does it look like?
Oh my God. Well, first thing first, for me, for sure, shifting the mindset. It's very ambitious in a day, I know. But shifting the mindset to growth, to grow sustainably. I think we're all very passionate about this. We all see it in the news. We all understand it. But it really needs to change at the top, too. So really thinking to do business in a sustainable way. Emotional intelligence will help do the change management needed in that regard. But I think that would be the really main focus if I had a day, to gear everyone around that mission and vision, hopefully.
Great. Kristina?
I think tying to what Sebastiano said just now, one of the first things maybe on the funny note would be to meet Paul Polman, who I've missed today, and learn exactly about how to sustainably grow a company. And then I think it would be a fantastic opportunity to learn and understand the connectedness of the different organizations within the company, and then to be better positioned to make decisions with whatever I would go back to. So definitely a learning platform.
Yeah, I think really cool. I don't know if it's a full working day or 24 hours, because this might be different. But anyways, I think what I would start with is really trying to get what's happening outside of the procurement organization, to understand it very thoroughly, that I could then influence again procurement organization once I'm back to it after that day ends. Because I think then I get the opportunity to see the 360 degree of the company. And I would start with inviting all the heads that I can invite, and I'm CEO, I have all those authorities now, and just ask about their burning processes. What are the pain points, basically, on each organization and as a standalone, because I think you get then really the holistic overview. And when I go back to my procurement job now, I can basically get more visibility of what I could change.
Excellent. Just curious in the audience, how many of you feel that your CEO has procurement on their business strategy and agenda, and it's top of mind? Wow. We have a lot of work to do still to get that on the CEO agenda. It's amazing to me that it's still such a gap in terms of the overall business strategy. Okay, let's talk about the skill sets of the future. Let's first talk about the procurement skill sets. What are those in the next 5 to 10 years that are going to be fundamental to success, and what are you all doing to build those skills personally? So Kristina, let's start with you.
To me, it comes down to those value-adding skills that go beyond the quid pro quo of the procurement, and that is leveraging on the new technologies such as AI and in general integration of those into the procurement practices, driving sustainability, and transformation as well, because I think that procurement professionals are uniquely positioned to both manage the stakeholders internally as well as externally. And in that sense, it's both advocacy, but also managing the restrictions or pushback that might come. So transformation power, definitely something that's very important.
On my side, I would definitely put first sustainability with branding, in the sense that procurement, we usually aren't being known for capacity building, cost savings, value creation, however you want to call it. To me, it's really important that we manage to have all procurement people associate also our value to our stakeholders to sustainability, as we are indeed the key drivers towards that goal because of the Scope 3 emissions, which represent most of the emissions of a given company. Second, I really like having a holistic view, and I think that in procurement it's really important to understand all processes, but also to become better business partners as procurement professionals. If we're just stuck on our category and understanding only our goals, that doesn't work out, and our companies are changing so much. So holistic management understanding is key. And last, I think you guys all know what I'll say, emotional intelligence. It'll be there. I'll talk about it a lot, but I think it's definitely key.
Yeah, I would agree to everything and just add a little bit as well from the data perspective, because I think now we're at a stage that we have so much data. Some of them are good enough, some of them are fake, this, even what we learned this morning, but also how to interpret and use this data. So I think it becomes crucial to really act on this. So technology could help us, but if you cannot take actions and decisions based on these technologies, then we're not going anywhere further. So I think interpreting and utilizing this technology in terms of data as well is very important, as well as change management, to really have this mindset that, okay, there are basic skills that you probably find in every job description for procurement, but also there are some skills that you learn by doing. And that's also what is very much empowering from the leadership team, that basically, let's do this together, we learn, we're on a learning journey, so basically this gets, at the end of the day, to also the agility that we need to build together. So for me, also the agile project management is very important, even we're not all project managers. But this mindset of minimum viable product, which I always would love to mention, that, okay, this is what we get, this is what we don't get. We set the expectations, we love what we have, and we build on it, basically. So this is also, I think, very important, and we don't see transformation in one day. Yep. And therefore, this kind of very transparent approach is important, and this, I think, comes with agility.
Excellent. Okay, now let's switch to the soft skills. You know, what are those must-haves in terms of soft skills going forward? Let's start with Seb.
Guess emotional intelligence.
It is
Yeah,
emotional intelligence.
We
You
heard
can
that.
guess it. There's great books, actually. I'm reading one from a very good psychologist. It's just called Emotional Intelligence. You can find it on Google. But to me, I think it's important what emotional intelligence means in our world and in what we do. To me, the most important aspect to it is to be done towards both your teams, so how teams are being treated, but also towards our stakeholders, understanding what their pressures are. But I think the greater opportunity, because on stakeholders and team, there's a lot of awareness already. It's really about the suppliers, how they're being treated, the supplier reward programs. Do you have supplier performance reviews? You do surveys? Do you give them some sort of scoring and some follow-up action plan so that they feel part of the organization? And that will build resilience when, for example, a COVID crisis could happen. That's then when the suppliers would prioritize you over another client. So that emotional intelligence bit, I think, is very key and definitely a skill to look into.
Okay, Mai, do you want to go next?
I think building on the emotional intelligence part, which you mentioned resilience, and I think not only supply chain resilience is important, but also personal resilience is important on the procurement transformation journey, because then we really build it within. So it's not only about the business, but also about us. How can we contribute to it? And therefore, I think also problem solving, which often is perceived as, standard. Typically, every human should be able to fix problems, but really problem solving takes much more. So really correctly identify the problem and the right solutions, because as we see on the market, there's so many solutions, but if we don't have right identification of the problems, we will maybe choose the wrong solution and maybe it doesn't fit all, and therefore it comes back to the requirement engineering of how do I express my business problem and how do I act on it and take the right decisions. So I think it's often underestimated, the problem solving, that it comes by chance anyway. So yeah.
Having many years in this, I do think resilience is super important as well. It takes a lot to be in this profession sometimes. Kristina.
Absolutely. I think, to me, it comes down to two very simple things, and those are the stakeholder management and communication. I think procurement really drills those two skills with any procurement professional. And now, having changed to another unit, I see the benefits of it. So really, both managing the different interests and getting the best out of it, and then also knowing how to communicate sensitive things or not to communicate when and so on, so how to be strategic with both the communication and people management. To me, those are the greatest takeaways that I've had from procurement.
Yeah, I think communication is key, and I'll share personally that's something that we're working on at Google. I'm looking at my team here in the front row. It's really a sweet spot to be able to not just speak the procurement speak and be able to speak the business language, understand what the business needs, make it simple and relevant. And sometimes we get so passionate and wrapped up in our own work that it doesn't really translate sometimes when you're speaking to the business. And I think that's something that we're definitely still working on as well. Okay, let's talk about superpowers. I want to hear about what you think your superpower is that got you to where you are today. And what superpower would you love to have in 10 years? Let's start with Seb.
Oh my God. Of course, emotional intelligence will be there, but I think one superpower that is very underrated and not thought of many times is simply kindness. We do a job where there's a lot of moderation that needs to happen. You work with people who have a budget, who may be very precious about the budget, and understanding how to really help them make a decision. And I think that touch of kindness really makes a difference to them actually wanting to work with you and say, oh, okay, I'll get back to him. And kindness also with your managers, with your team members. I always feel so privileged that we get to work in such good companies, right? It's big learning opportunities. So kindness to each other, I think, is really key and what allowed me to change so many companies and industries so far. In 10 years' time, I think the one thing I'd love in 10 years' time is this holistic view that I was talking about before, to really have it as a superpower in a sense when you talk to someone, both within your company but also with your suppliers, that you really understand what they're talking about and what their needs are and how that can actually turn into something that you can help them with. I think is really key because that's when you add value beyond your title, per se. Over to you.
To me, okay, when I think about what brought me where I am, I believe it's authenticity and humility, meaning that no, I don't know everything, I know actually nothing, and I'm here to learn, and really embracing any opportunity to learn and making the most out of the situation given before me. That's what got me where I am today. And if I think about the future, the superpower that I would like to have is to feel more confident with anything new that comes to me, meaning that I've gained as much experience and drill in different things that any new challenge that is an unknown to me comes with less of discomfort in my stomach.
I think for now I would always think about basically a way of predicting what's going to happen on the market. Who doesn't want to do that? Honestly, in this VUCA world that we live in, I would always want to see what's happening tomorrow and how can we work on it today. So that's a superpower. I would never be able to do that. Maybe data can help, but I wouldn't probably be able still to do it. But this is what I would love to have as a superpower now. And for the future is literally to connect within procurement, planet, people, and profit together. Because I think now we are at a stage that we are basically so much into technology, but my personal perception is that after many years of exploring all these technologies, we're going to get back to people, which is very important. We should not miss this as well along the way, because really it can't go one side alone. It needs to go jointly together. So I think connecting people, planet, and profit together, and people are empowered by technology, but I don't see technology in the triangle, to be honest.
Absolutely. And some of the things you've all talked about as we were getting to know each other, you said today too, as well as like adaptability, resilience, innovating, being change agents. I think all of your stories showed all of those superpowers as well, so congrats to all of you on that. Okay, so let's step back and say, what keeps you up at night? As a young professional, what's on your mind? Tell us a little bit about those sleepless nights. Why don't we start with you?
It's always me. I'm the first one. I'm not reading at night my emotional intelligence book, I promise. I did do a lot of investment, time and money-wise, with my education. I took my master's in sustainability while working full-time. And I completed that a year ago, and it was a big thing for me. And I was like so honored in a way to have that opportunity, but then at the same time, before I got into the master's, I was always like, in a way, very naive and optimistic. Oh, we're going to go through this, and it's really good to have that understanding. But then, as I delved deeper, like 15 subjects later, I figured that sustainability is really complicated. And it really should be front and center to every single one of us. Because, I mean, temperatures are rising, there is climate change happening, and it's in front of everyone. Though it's not a top-of-mind topic, we still talk about other things first. And for sure, that is something that stays with me, and I always try to bring it up in any conversation that I have, from this forum to our team meeting, and all places where my management may not want me always to have, sustainability, artificial intelligence. But I think it really permeates all what we do as companies and humans.
Mai, you want to go next?
Yeah, I think for me it's change generally, either on the work level or personal level, or it's always amazing how change could be so powerful, and how can we be prepared for it, and sometimes not to be prepared for it, and what can we learn out of it. So I think change is the only constant thing. That's the very typical cliche sentence, but it's really true. And I think if we're always aware that change is a chance, and we can actually use it, or just say we failed with this change and we can't deal with this change, I think then we're not basically taking our opportunities to its maximum utilization. So I think change is a very interesting topic for me personally.
Okay, Kristina?
I think one of the first things, or the question that I have on my mind now that I've also recently changed the position, is what is that thin line between what goes in terms of the challenges, as I call them, the perks of the job, and on the other side, what is crossing the line. So trying to understand that balance and how to walk that line is the question that keeps me up at night. So if you have any piece of advice, please let me know. And then the other one related to both change and sustainability. being in the sustainability unit itself, how do we make a really measurable impact, and how do we really make a difference, and how can I contribute therein? I'm trying to nail that question down, so that's where my thoughts are.
Excellent. I'll share one of the things that's keeping me up at night is really all the opportunity that's just at our fingertips now. And I think we all kind of talked about this. How do you balance the tech with people? How do we make sure that the skills are being developed to match the data and insights that are coming from the technology? And how do we really change the stereotype of procurement? I think so many organizations are maybe still stuck and looking for that way to innovate and innovate faster. At Google, I know that is one of our biggest priorities is how do we move faster? There's just so much available to us. We're very lucky to be at a tech company to have so much available. How do we get there faster? And how do we train our people to be able to adapt? What are those trainings and skill sets that they're going to need for the future? And will there be gaps eventually that we have to face? So that's certainly something that keeps me up. But I also like to watch YouTube shorts and other things in the middle of the night when it keeps me up, so I keep keep up with all of that as well.
Scrolling.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so any final thoughts as we wrap up in the last few minutes? Let's talk about this conference today. What was the one thing that you were really hoping to be inspired about over these 2 days? Mai?
Yeah, I think it's always very interesting, and I was lucky enough to be here as well last year, how we're all going on the same direction together. It's good, empowering feeling that we're not alone with the problems we're discussing, So I think it's very powerful how we can always keep this knowledge sharing together and be very open as well. And it's interesting to see the commonalities and how everybody has been doing it differently. What are the best practices? How we can learn and grow within each other as procurement professionals. So this kind of sharing opportunity is very interesting and inspiring for me.
Kristina?
Yeah, what I like about this conference, and I'm here the first time this year, is this inclusion in terms of coupling or bringing together both the worlds of startups and also established corporate world. And also, as Mai just mentioned, sharing of the challenges and getting the understanding that in certain aspects we are not alone. And in that sense, I think, I don't know if any of the Paulas that were just giving a speech up there, and I know one has worked with you, Jennifer, is there. Thank you for sharing all your experiences, because, it brings also peace to one person that is just starting in their career, let's say, so good perspectives as well.
I'm last.
For once.
I would say I love and I look forward to the community. I feel there's other professions, take marketing, IT, that sound more attractive, that are more attractive to many students, but in general also to our peers. I love the fact that procurement is in this journey to become more attractive, more interesting, and that is both for our stakeholders, our potential partners with startups and suppliers, but also most importantly for ourselves. It's nice to know and nice to see that the community is growing, that there's greater interest, and that we're growing also towards new skills like sustainability, value add data, and how that taps into, as Mai beautifully explained to us. But of course, also the emotional intelligence piece that taps in always. Also with our mental health. I think that's also a very important point to bring up. In jobs like ours, where there's a lot of negotiation, a lot of alignment to be done and to deliver, I think having a community like this one is a big privilege. So I would say thank you to everyone.
Excellent. Well, thank you all. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to all of you. Thank you, audience. And that's a wrap.
We're in time.